What's up out there? We are running a tier 16 wharf map. Just started it off here, went through the wildwood a little bit, juiced it up, and I'm running it off. I've put some abyss, some breach, some strong boxes, and like I said, I juiced it up with the wildwood. So we'll see how this runs. I'm not going to kill those guys. So we'll see how this runs. I have made what I would call significant changes to my build today, and this is basically just checking that out and seeing how things work. So I was trying to figure out how to actually scale this. I was looking at Karn's guide, and he's got multiple tabs for basically the mapping section, the end game, whatever you want to, however you want to define it. He's got one called end game. Oh, I'm sorry, early maps, and then he's got one called, or one for Tainted Grail and one for Ashes of the Stars. Tainted Pack, not Tainted Grail, Tainted Pack. So I don't have either of those amulets yet, and so I can't try either one of those avenues of scaling the build up. So I was sitting there, I'm like, there's seriously got to be some way that I can do something with this build, and he didn't offer any alternatives though. There was like nothing there. So I was trying to figure out how all that was going to work, and I kind of looked at things. What I noticed first and foremost was that there was a, oh, I gotta get away from this thing. That's hurting. We kill it? Nope, still not dead. Or is that an apparition? Probably an apparition. So, first thing I thought was to come over here and pick up this basic jewel socket. These two here. Now I had a different jewel in that spot there, but I thought, you know what, that I robbed a couple of points off of somewhere else off of my passive tree and came over there and put that in, and it bumped up my damage a little bit. I actually lost a little bit of health. I was just over 4,000 health. Now I'm just under. So I lost a little bit of HP along the way. Not a big deal. It's within like 50 or 100 of where I was. It's not that much of a change. But when I show you the damage, now this is again tooltip damage. It's showing like, I don't know, 300,000 or 400,000 in POB, something like that. But my tooltip damage, I got to get away from all these monsters that I'm killing so it actually settles down. I've actually seen 400,000 on this thing today. After I made some of the changes, I was pretty impressed with it. I was like, yeah, made some significant changes. So if I look over the tooltip, we're at 277. I mean, the bigger the packs you're in, and once you have all the totems and everything out, that's when it really goes up. But made some significant headway with elevating this. Let me run this here. Finish this off, and then we can go look at things here. Probably just bail out of this now anyway. But definitely doing a lot more damage, and this is full tier 16. I don't remember how many mods were on the map. 5 mods maybe. It wasn't like some insane map or anything. It was something I looked at and I thought, yeah, that's doable. It's not, it's going to look decent. It's not, I might die here and there, but it's not going to look totally terrible. So let's pop back to town real quick here, and I'll show you what I did. So, like I said, I came over here and I did this. Then I actually backed out of that. What I thought was I could come down here to this socket cluster down here. And I ended up robbing pieces from a whole bunch of different places. I think, yeah, we had all this accuracy nodes over here. So there was this plus 100 to accuracy and everything. This had plus 10% to all elemental resistances, another 4%, plus all the accuracy and everything there. So my accuracy went down considerably, but because my life is only 3922, my main hand accuracy is still above life, so 4360, and that makes this precise technique work just fine. As long as I have accuracy higher than max life, I'm okay. So I cannot deal critical strikes, so I make sure nothing, I don't have any critical strike rolls on my gear. Now, I also pulled points out of this Tribal Fury. So this here gives a little bit of melee, increased melee strike range, melee damage percentage, and then this one gets a little bit more splash damage. There was also the middle one here, which, or the mastery for it, which no, maybe I didn't have a mastery on this one. Or no, it does. The non-vol skills target one additional nearby enemy. So I took all that out, took all this out over here, and a couple other things. I think I took this node off here, which gives you a chance for an endurance charge when you're hit, 50% increased armor while stationary. I don't know if the endurance charge was doing me a whole lot for this, but the 50% increased armor while stationary, I looked at that and I'm like, you know what? I am stationary a lot, but 50% increased armor while I'm stationary is only for certain times, whereas I could bring up my damage and my armor and everything else. In fact, I don't remember what my armor was. I think I was at 20-some thousand armor, so I've lost a little bit of armor, maybe a little bit of evasion along the way. I need to probably work on my resistance a little bit. That lightning is pretty bad. I could rob some cold out somewhere. But I got my damage up to 122,000. I think this was only at 86,000 on the tooltip when I started this earlier. And like I said, it's up pretty considerably further than it was on in POB. It's up considerably further. I'm still getting used to POB and how that works and everything. But so what you get down here is you get a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage here, 4% increased melee fizz damage. It's not terribly great, but it lets you socket in a large cluster jewel. So I whipped this thing up. This has Battlefield Dominator and Martial Prowess on it with a little energy shield, but every small passive gives 12% increased damage with two-handed swords. Now I had a couple of these things, or two-handed weapons, I'm sorry, not two-handed swords, two-handed weapons. So I scavenged up enough points to put into this. So I'm basically getting a whole bunch of 12% increased damages along the way here. And then we're getting this Martial Prowess, which does a 20% increased attack damage, 6% increased attack speed, 15% increased global accuracy, and then 20% increased damage with ailments from attack skills, which I don't think ailments play a whole lot into this at the moment. And then Battlefield Dominator, attacks with two-handed weapons deal 25% increased damage with hits and ailments, 10% reduced enemy stun threshold. So that was another thing I didn't want to do. I thought about robbing some of, was it this one here? I thought about taking this wheel of nodes out, but it's got, not the chance to deal double damage is great, but it's got 10% chance to double stun duration. It's got, is this the one? Yeah, 20% increased stun duration with two-handed weapons, and then reduced stun threshold. I like the stun. I like jumping into a pack, watching the enemies get stunned, and then wailing on them. I think it's very effective, and I didn't want to lose any of that. I think I might have, oh yeah, I did. I took out the mastery off of this because it was that middle one there, the 10% increased armor per red socket or 10% increased evasion. So I did lose some armor and evasion out of it, definitely. But I picked this up, which has got accuracy and increased damage with ailments. I mean, there's a lot of trade-offs that you have to just take. And that bumped my damage up significantly. So then I put in one of these Crimson Jewels here. This has got increased global damage, a little bit of max life, because I did trade like 6% max life somewhere off on the right over there. So I've reduced my life by 1%, but I got increased attack and cast speed, all this other stuff with it. And then this one here's got increased global damage, increased damage with axes, and fire and cold resist. So I thought that was a great trade-off. Now it's really bumped my damage up. I've lost, as we're looking at, I've lost some armor and I've lost a little bit of resistance here and there. I can pick up some of the resistance, I think, because I do have fire and lightning. I already have fire and lightning, so that's not going to help out. I could turn that to just straight lightning, but then it would put fire kind of about the same place that lightning is. So there's not really much to gain there. I've kind of min-maxed a lot of this stuff, and I don't know. I'm just not. There's not much else I can change. I don't know if I can craft anything on that jewel or not. But so we've got as much damage as I can put in here. I was trying to change out my amulet here, but I just couldn't quite get that one done. So pretty significant changes as far as damage goes. Really bumped up the damage quite a bit. Still got all that. Yeah, I didn't die. I actually left on purpose. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the way this has turned out. It feels pretty good. It still has that good clear on it. I fought the Infinite Hunger or whatever that was. That fight went better. It still doesn't have a lot of damage for that kind of a boss fight though. So this is better clear, and it's just playing a little bit. He's not a bad guy. Playing a little bit better, but it still needs a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like it still could definitely use some tweaking. And I probably should go back and I kind of looked at what Karn had for both the Ashes build and the Tainted Pack side. I kind of glanced at it. I probably need to look at that a little bit further and just see if there's something that I could scavenge off of that, you know, anything that like looks reasonable. You know what I mean? Like some ideas of it. The problem is I was looking at this. There's not a whole lot of places to go. Why am I dying? Why am I standing in here? Probably not the best place to stand and talk. But I was looking at the tree here, and like you can come up to here. You can come over here for some melee damage and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of damage nodes. There's resistance nodes here. Like I could take this 15-20% resistance, but the problem is I would end up coughing up. Which one was that? I think it was this. Well, no, I don't remember where that is. Somewhere around here I had some resistances. Maybe I got rid of that. Maybe that was this. Maybe that was this. Because there's 10, 14, 18. Yeah, something like that. I don't remember. I was looking at something around here. Or maybe it was this one. Might have been this. This gets you about the same elemental resistances, but this comes with armor and evasion. So there was really no point. I thought about going off into this wheel here and maybe up into this damage stuff. But like there's nothing I would trade off over here to pick this stuff up necessarily. I could get out of this spell suppression side of things. I thought about that actually. And maybe going up and taking this max life stuff out and going into some more stuff over in this area. I don't know. I kind of put it on POB and it just didn't really look all that exciting. Like the numbers were not going up, numbers going down, and like a lot of numbers going down in a lot of ways. And then at one point I sat down and I looked at PoE Ninja. I was curious to what other people are doing with their builds. And so, I don't know, there's not a whole lot of people doing what is this? The Bone Shatter of Carnage. So specifically, people that were doing Bone Shatter of Carnage were not getting nearly as much DPS as somebody using, say, regular Bone Shatter or the Trauma Bone Shatter. So obviously, there's not a lot of people using that, or they just haven't figured the build out in a meaningful way. I'm not sure. Looks like we got a second use off of that thing. Oh, nice pacifism. All right. So, yeah, big improvements for me, and I still haven't got down in Delve. I ran out of the sulfite, so that's why I'm kind of running maps now and trying to get that built back up. I've got a big chunk of it. Is there a boss in here somewhere? I think there's a boss in here. Oh, crap, get away from that. Oh, that lightning stuff, it just destroys me. Every build I've ever played just gets decimated by that lightning stuff. All that's dead, I think. Maybe? Yeah. So there we go. Boss is dead. And we've got some loot to pick up. I think I've already got that. Been grabbing all the different uniques I can find. Oh, guess we didn't do this one yet. And that's going to include that boss that just about killed me, I think. So it's kind of nice that the boss is just in there somewhere and you have no idea where they're at. And you're just killing it, and that's cool. That's always a good feeling. No, nothing new on my Perforate build. I kind of had a crossroads with it. Not a crossroads, but I got to sink some time into learning it. And I just have not done that. We'll kick on the gas, let this thing burn down. There we go. Problem solved. So Perforate builds is what it is. It's kind of sitting there. I don't need clear oils. Probably grab that and that and that. Some of this currency out of here. Grab a lot of currency. Still grab that. All right, cool. What's this? Holy Flame for 15%? Yeah, I'll take that. That's 15% quality I can sell off for gem cutters. So yeah, that is where we are today. Significant changes. Like I said, I could probably take some of this stuff off of here, remove spell suppression, maybe take this off and look at some of the stuff over here. There is some intriguing options like extra armor, the resistances, the extra resistances that you can get off of this. There's some more life regen. Well, I don't have life regen, so I can't do that. I need leech. But I kind of thought about coming across here and picking up this over here, but it wouldn't save me a point there. And I did think about coming up here into the two-handed weapon side of things. I eventually did take this jewel socket over here just to pad that out a little bit. But some of the kind of interesting thing is I was looking at other builds, and like I was looking at that other perforate build or whatever I was looking at the other day for the perforate build, and I noticed that they came up into this section here. Like even coming up into here, you're kind of out of the way. You'd have to really take off a lot of this stuff here and maybe some of this just to get over here. So, and I was looking at the other Bone Shatter builds today, and not too many of them were greatly different than this. Like I have a couple of things that they didn't. I picked up these nodes in here for armor and evasion and elemental resistances. If I got my resistances in check, I could get rid of all three of those and then pick up some other stuff over here. But like I was looking at what was available, and the Bone Shatter builds that I looked at, I don't know, 3 or 4 different ones, and I looked at the trauma one, I looked at the regular Bone Shatter, and I looked at a couple of the ones of this Bone Shatter that I've got here, and they all basically had the same tree. They had some minor differences here and there, but the basic layout was pretty much the same, and there wasn't a whole lot of difference. What I'm driving at is that I didn't see anything that somebody came off over in some other weird direction that I don't have and picked up some really cool stuff. They were basically the same build that I have now. So I'm glad I went this route and put this stuff in here. This worked out really well. And these are medium jewel sockets. So if I wanted to sacrifice more points, I could come off of this. I can rework some of these jewels and come up with some better stuff, because these only have 3 mods on them. I could definitely get something better. So if maybe an Exalted Orb would work on that. Or if I roll something a little better, this one's got 3 also. So there's room to work with, and could tinker around with some of this other stuff and see if I can get anything a little better. But for the most part, this looks about like that's where it's going to be. So I don't know. It is kind of what it is. So that is what I have for this edition or this episode. And that will do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.